Today's Leading Women, episode 543, with the wonderful Amy Collette.
Women all over the world, get ready for inspiring and empowering interviews from women at the top of their field who are kicking butt in their business and who are prepared to share shocking revelations from being in the limelight. You are now listening to Today's Leading Women with Marie Grace Berg.
Podcast your passion. Yes, did you know you can podcast your passion, make a difference, and make money talking about what you love talking about? That's how I get to do what I'm doing, talking to wonderful women every day here at Today's Leading Women. Want to learn how I did it? Go to podcastyourpassion.com. That's www.podcastyourpassion.com. Yes, women of the world, let's get started. I am delighted to introduce you our amazing guest for today, Amy Collette. Amy Collette is a gratitude expert and author of The Gratitude Connection, Embrace the Positive Power of Thanks. She is also the host of Positively Powered, a podcast for people using their powers for good. Her upbeat book features inspirational stories and practical exercises to help you retrain your brain for happiness and success. Amy helps people in transition blaze a new path, acting as your co-pilot on your adventure. Connecting with her clients is the work of her heart. To learn more and to download a free chapter of her book, visit www.amycollette.com. That's Amy, that Collette, COLLETTE.com. That's double L and double T. Women of the world, Miss Amy Collette. Welcome to the show.
Marie, thank you so much for inviting me on your show. I'm thrilled to be with you this morning.
I am delighted to have you on the show, Amy, and I'm sure our listeners too. So, Amy, I really love what you're doing with your business, especially with your being the gratitude expert. I mean, it's something that it's so close and dear to my heart. I love that you have this one out there, and you are a success in your own right. You put in the effort, the sweat equity, the knowledge and experience to build a special business you call your own. As a result of that, our listeners really want to get to know you, and I want to provide a conduit, that bridge between you and our listeners. So here are some cool questions that we can talk about. Feel free to comment anytime about them, but these are just general questions I have in mind. So let's start with your business. There might be people out there who want to start one and have no clue how to go about it. Can you tell us more about your business and the idea behind that niche?
Sure, Marie. My business really is built up around helping people do what I call unleashing their superpowers. And what that means is understanding your strengths and building on them. Instead of focusing on maybe what your weaknesses are or what you're not doing right, I focus on what are you doing right? What can you build and make stronger and bring to the world? So I work primarily with people who want to make a difference by helping other people. So they want to write their books, they want to start a business, they want to make some impact on the world. And some of the tools I use are in my book called The Gratitude Connection. And the Gratitude Connection is a whole toolbox of simple techniques that you can do every day. They're practices, meditations, visualizations that you can use. They don't take very much time. And over time, they help you build up your happiness, which helps you be more successful. I also host a podcast. It's called Positively Powered, and it's for people using their powers for good. So I interview other artists, authors, and entrepreneurs who are doing great things in the world and using their positive powers and helping us all build ours as we listen.
I love what I'm hearing about your business, and I love that inspiration you have. I mean, helping people unleash their superpowers. And I love that you focus on helping people focus on their strengths, their abilities to bring good to the world, to make a difference and impact. Because I truly believe also that when we are focusing on our strengths, we bring out the best in us. beautiful, and I love that you have this niche out there, because I truly believe also, and I feel good in myself too when I am from a place of gratitude. It's been a practice for me that when, especially during the times when I feel like down, I just remember the things that I'm grateful for, and that really switched my perspective, my attitude, my mood for that moment. So I'm glad that you have this one out there to help us, not only those people who are struggling with it, but the people that are really impacted with it. So great that you have this one with us. Now, you also shared with us what inspired you to do this, but I'd love for us to talk about the qualities, that help you become a successful entrepreneur. Can you share our listeners what are some of your personality traits or your top 3 personal qualities that help you become a successful entrepreneur that our listeners can learn from?
Thanks, Marie. Yeah, I love gratitude also, and it really is one of the first superpowers that I found. And then I found a whole bunch more. That's one of the things that you can bring into your life to fuel your transformation. And other things are, reducing your stress and finding ways to connect with people. And I think that's number one of my personal traits that I bring to being an entrepreneur is I'm a connector. I love to connect with people, and I love to connect other people who need to know each other. So that networking, you meet one person and you think, oh, I don't think we can work together, but I know somebody else who would be great for you. So I think being a connector is something that helps me a lot. It helps me build my business, helps me build relationships, and I just love doing it. It's fun. The second one is I'm really passionate about what I'm doing. And I think as an entrepreneur, you really have to bring that passion. It has to be a purpose that's in your heart that you want to bring. So I'll do whatever I can to help my coaching clients, the authors that I'm helping, to bring their best to the world. And the third is, as you can already tell, I like to focus on the positive. I think there's enough negative in the world that we get kind of bombarded by that in the news. And when we read anything in the paper, we hear all this bad news, but there's so much great stuff going on in the world. So many people are doing great things that I like to bring that to the surface too. It helps me when I'm struggling with something, I come up against an obstacle. I want to get creative about finding a positive solution. So I am always thinking there's got to be a solution. We've got to find a way around this. And that helps you keep going as an entrepreneur because there's always going to be things that you have to find a solution for. And your clients are going to need to know that too. You're going to have to help your customers or your clients or people that you're working with overcome problems and obstacles. So having that positive attitude really helps you get unstuck and keep moving.
So that's being a connector, passion, and positive attitude. Great personal qualities or traits here that Amy just shared with us. And the good news is that we can all cultivate and adapt these traits into our lives and into our business. So being a connector or developing that ability to connect with others, having that passion or drive for what you do, and having that positive attitude in life and in your business. Let's all cultivate and adapt them in our lives. Thanks for sharing those. Now, let's talk about what happened when you started your journey as an entrepreneur. As entrepreneurs, we face daily challenges that define our being. And to get to those challenges, it takes a very special person. And our audience wants to know that special person in you. So, what have been your biggest challenges building your business, and how have you addressed or overcame those barriers to success that a lot of women entrepreneurs face today?
Thanks for asking about that, Marie. I want to go back and tell you a little bit about my backstory about how I started my current business. I was running a very successful consulting business for a few years. It was going really well. And I got really kind of complacent about building new business because I had so much business already. I didn't know what to do with it. I had 2 big clients that were about 80% of my business. And I was just doing great. Things were happy and good. And within a 2-week period, I lost both of those big clients. So I was thrown into panic. One business had lost their venture capital funding, so they went out of business. The other client, one of the partners bought the other partner out, and they changed the business model and didn't need me anymore. It was devastating. So one of those challenges was being unprepared for that challenge, for that problem of losing a client. So in my panic to get new business, I was making a lot of phone calls, and I was used to building business pretty quickly. My sales cycle was pretty short, but this time it wasn't working. I wasn't getting those phone calls back. The worst sound that an entrepreneur can hear is the phone not ringing, right? So that was happening, and I thought, I've got to figure this out. So I sat in meditation one day, Marie, and I just asked, what do I need to do differently? What do I need to change? And I got this kind of funny answer back. The answer was, Amy, you're being a bad date. And if you know what being a bad date is, it means being too needy, being too desperate for your date to like you. And in business, I was coming across this way. I realized that I was focusing on my own needs instead of my potential clients' needs, like a bad date would. They were focusing on themselves instead of on their date. So I needed to change that up. And that's when I discovered gratitude. I changed my energy by practicing gratitude and making a change in how I was confronting life. So that was a major obstacle that I overcame, and I want to share. I think the other biggest obstacles as an entrepreneur are just fear, simple fear. That sounds simple, but it's so big because you grow up with these fears that you're not good enough, that people might judge you, even fear that you might not succeed. And then the other side of that is fear that you will succeed. And what do I do with that? So there's all those fears. And I was able to overcome those, just working through them one at a time, just keep stepping forward. And I started out as a shy and quiet kid, and now I talk all day to people for a living. So I've obviously made some good success with moving through those fears. And that's what I want to help other people with.
Wow, what an inspiring story that one is. I'm glad that you shared that one with us. That it's so nice to hear how you came up with this, and now I understand. Now I have that sense of perspective. How you became a gratitude expert because of what you've experienced, and I'm sure a lot of us can relate to this because, especially when we're starting out, we feel like we need that business, we need that client. So we come across as being needy. And I love that phrase that you've coined about being a bad date. It really is. I mean, that was a perfect phrase. And more often we are unconscious, we are unaware of this, but we come across as so needy. And our clients know this. They feel this when we are in that state. And I love how you're able to overcome that by cultivating that gratitude. Because I believe also that that's when we come from a place of gratitude, of service, we see a better perspective. We see from our client's perspective, where are they? If we come from that place of gratitude and service, we feel like, what can I do for them? How can I serve them better? So this is years learning especially for our listeners out there who are just starting out. I know I've often experienced this myself. I have to stop myself and really ground myself. Where am I coming from? And that helps me to overcome this. Fears, there are always going to be fears out there. But it's important to embrace them. And like what Amy just shared with us, work on them one at a time. And then don't shun away from them, because fears, they are going to be there no matter what. it's about embracing them and taking action despite of the fear. So let's learn from these challenges that Amy just shared with us and learn from how she was able to overcome them so that when they too happen to us, we now know what to do. All right, let's talk about work-life balance because, being a business owner myself, maintaining a work-life balance is so crucial to overall success in life. Now, the challenge with entrepreneurs is how to click on and click off and create the work-life balance, particularly if you have a family juggling many roles. So in your life as an entrepreneur, how do you maintain this work-life balance, and what are some of the ways that you accomplish this in the areas of your health, your family, your relationships, and your business?
This is something I work with my clients on too, Marie. It's very important, but I might have a little bit of a less conventional approach because I feel just like there's really no separation between all the different aspects of ourselves, like our spiritual life, our emotional life, our work, our family, all those things, they kind of run together. They really make up all of who we are. So I try to not make an artificial separation. In other words, the traditional idea of working from 9 to 5 is your work. And then, from 6 to 10, you have your family and you eat dinner and you do all those things. For entrepreneurs, that often does not work. It's just not realistic. You have to kind of mix them up a little bit more. So I find that combining all those things, the personal, spiritual, emotional, leads to a more peaceful existence than if I try to separate them all out. So what that means for me is a combination of all the things. In a day, I might leave work in the afternoon and go watch a baseball game. That means when I come back, I might need to make some phone calls, or I might need to finish my emails or do some writing for my website. And that's okay. Even on the weekends, things get mashed up. Sometimes you have to take a business call or travel for business, and that takes away from your normal time with your partner or your family. But you make that up at another time. So I really try to, instead of having these hard, fast rules about what is work and what is play and what is family, they all flow together. And if I try to do that, if I can do that in a balanced way, then that makes me really happy. And I can keep doing that and help my clients do that too. Like I have a client who is a coach. He's a baseball coach, so he coaches his kids. And his work life gets interrupted because of that. But it's a value of his. It's a commitment that he's made that he wants to do. So he leaves about 3 o'clock in the afternoon to go coach his baseball team and be with his kids. And then he comes back later in the evening and he finishes up, and he likes that quiet time. There's nothing else going on. The phone's not ringing. So it's really his peaceful time to get his head together and make some good decisions, connect with his business partners and his clients. And that really works for him. So I think that you have to find the flow that works for you best.
I love that. I love your perspective on this work-life balance because I agree with it. It's all about integrating all of these areas that are important to us and finding that flow that works for you, finding that what works for you, because I know we all have different priorities in our lives and in our business, but we have to find what works, and it's really hard, especially for us who are working from home. This is a challenge, but like what Amy just shared with us, find the flow and combine those areas in your life that are important to you. Find what works for you and then follow it. There is no such thing as perfect work-life balance. There is no such thing as you have to be rigid in your rules, because more often that's one of the perks of being an entrepreneur is that flexibility. We can be flexible where it's necessary. We can afford that flexibility when it's necessary. So find the flow, take advantage of the benefits of being an entrepreneur, having that flexibility of your time, but at the same time, all the areas in your life that are important to you, make time for them. Great tips there. All right, let's talk about success and what success means to you. your business appears to be financially doing quite well, and with that success flows into other areas in the entrepreneur's life. Now, would like to also say that success is a mindset. I can have $10 in my pocket, but my mind feels like a millionaire. I feel great about myself and I'm moving forward. The opposite way will be a multi-billionaire and be totally miserable. So am I successful? Financially, yes. Individually, probably not. So in your journey as an entrepreneur, what does success mean to you, and what are some of the benchmarks that you use to measure your success?
Marie, I talk about this in the Gratitude Connection and in my talks with salespeople and other groups, business groups, because success and happiness to me are really intertwined. And the conventional formula for success is that you work hard and that leads to success. And then that success leads to happiness. That's kind of the conventional thing that we were all brought up with, work hard, do well, be successful, that'll make you happy. But all the research in positive psychology in the past few years has found that that's really not the way it works, that it really should be turned on its head, and we should look at it the other way. So there's a researcher, I'm sure you've heard of him, Marie, called Sean Achor out of Harvard, and he talks about the studies that he's done with people who are just naturally happy. They rate themselves on a self-assessment as being at a high level of happiness. And he says, we should study these people and find out what they're doing so that we can all do that. So he studies these people. Well, he finds out that they're actually more successful too. They have greater productivity. They have less burnout and less stress, which is great. And they also have greater sales. So they actually make more money. So his idea is, let's all find out how we can be happier and success will come. And in his studies, he's really found this out to be true. And in my own life and my work with my clients, I found that out to be true too. So in the Gratitude Connection, all the little exercises and visualizations, meditations, they're all really about how you can choose happiness every day. It's really a choice. Like when I was relating that story, Maria, about being really stressed out about my business and needing to find a way to start being a better date in business, I needed to change that energy. And what I did is started practicing gratitude. And what that made me realize is that I was choosing to focus on one thing that was going wrong, rather than all the other things that were going great. Just like you said, the billionaire who might have tons of money, but he's unhappy. There's other things going on in his life that are not happy. So the money doesn't make him happy. He needs to focus on things that do make him happy and making those things better. So I really focus on happiness first. How to choose happiness and bring that positive power into your life every day. That's the best superpower there is love and happiness. So when happiness ends up leading to greater success, and you have a lot more fun getting there.
Success is choosing happiness. Success is focusing on happiness. I love that. It really gives you a different perspective on success. And yes, I love how you elaborated it, because I agree with you. When we're focusing on what makes us happy instead of what makes us what's the opposite, what's the negative, or like that, it really changes your perspective on things. Great perspective there. All right, I know you've given us a lot of tips already, but I'd love for us to talk about one of the highlights of our show, and that's your advice for other entrepreneurs and those aspiring to be, especially to those who want to follow your footsteps. You obviously got some lessons learned under your belt of experience, so take it back to the past. Say you're going to start all over again as an entrepreneur and you are in a class with other entrepreneurs who are hungry and thirsty for success or even for making that first buck. What types of special suggestions or advice and lessons that you learn would you give your fellow entrepreneurs, knowing where you came from and where you headed at? And if you can boil them down to your top 3 tips or advice, what would those 3 be?
I love this question, Marie. I think it's really important to start out knowing who you want to serve and how you want to help them. That's the first thing. The second thing really is understanding yourself and understanding, do you have the personal traits to be an entrepreneur? It's not for everyone. So you want to start by asking yourself some questions. First of all, can you work by yourself? Can you stay motivated working by yourself and stay organized? Do you like to manage people? Do you like to manage projects? Or both of those things? What do you like about running a business? Do you like going out and building business? Sometimes people don't like marketing or sales, but as a small business person, you really need to love those things and to be great at them and to continually get better at doing those things. And then really understanding where you fit, where your niche is, and how you serve the people that you want to help. And then the last thing is get some help. I said you need to work by yourself, and you do, but you don't have to do everything yourself. You're not Superman or Superwoman. Everybody needs a good coach or a mentor to bounce things off of, to continue to grow at a faster pace than maybe you would by yourself, because business really helps you. It's a catalyst for your own personal growth. So when you know that, you collaborating with the right people is very important. So you want to collaborate with great people you can partner with and that who understand your business and you and your business goals. And networking, always meeting new people, always making those new contacts and connecting other people and just keeping that power of connecting with people going in your business all the time. That's what fuels it.
Golden nuggets in those tips that you shared with us. So let me just summarize them again for our listeners. So the first one is to start with knowing who you want to serve and how you want to serve them. This is huge to understand. Really dig deep about this, especially for our listeners out there who are just starting out. It starts with this. Everything starts with this, and you cannot skip this. Really important to know who you want to serve and how you're going to serve them. And the second one that Amy just shared with us is to understand and work on yourself. Really important to understand your strength, and focus on those strengths, and then the rest. I'm a big fan of finding experts for the things that you are not good at or you don't want to do, and focusing on your strength, working on your strength. And yes, sales and marketing, those are the 2 skills that I believe are the foundation and the most important part of our business. So whether we like it or not, we have to be good at it and continuously honing our skills on it. Because I myself, I don't like sales and marketing, but when I started understanding what they really are, it's about being able to spread our message, being able to reach more people, and about service. So if I come from that place, I know that, sales and marketing is not really bad. It's about putting ourselves out there so we can reach those people that we want to serve. The third one is to get some help. Really important. And I found this one really interesting, especially for us women, because it's so hard sometimes to ask for help because we feel like we don't want to bother people. Love the word collaboration as well. I mean, I believe that we can, instead of seeing our competitors as competitors, seeing them as collaborators or seeing them as partners for our business. Because when we are able to help each other, we can reach a larger audience that we can serve. So let's take action on these tips that Amy just shared with us, and I'll make sure to have those on our show notes. Last but not the least, Amy, This is one question that our listeners have started asking, and that is, if there's one woman out there that you admire the most, who would that be and why?
Wow, the person who comes into my mind is, she's a coach and mentor that I've worked with. Her name is Lynn Sherrill, and she is the creative catalyst. The reason I love and admire her is that she has a very clear vision of her own business and also how to help you in yours. She uses not just her deep knowledge of business and all the little tools, you were talking about sales and marketing, and there's so much to that. You could spend a lifetime learning all that you need to know about that. And she has this great depth of knowledge about that. But she also uses her intuition. And I think we, especially as women, we can tend to put that off. It's important to be smart. It's important to be knowledgeable. But we also need to honor that power that we have within us of that intuition and that inner wisdom, and to listen to that. And Lynn really does that herself, and she's really helped me do that. So that's the woman business person that I think has been very key to my development, both as a business person and in my personal life.
So that's Lynn Sherrill. Is it Lynserrell?
No, it's the last name is Scheurell.
All right, Lynn. Okay, wow. I'll definitely gonna look her up. And thank you for sharing her with us, not just for being an inspiration to you, but being an inspiration to all of us here at Today's Leading Women. We salute her, and we love to know more about her. Thank you, Lynn, for being an inspiration to Amy, but to all of us here at Today's Leading Women as well. Lastly, Amy, share our listeners what's one big benefit that they can get with your product or your service, where they can get it, and what's the best way that our listeners can connect with you, and then we'll end from there.
Okay, great. Marie, the benefit that people have from working with me is how to live a more positive, happy, and successful life. So all my work revolves around that. And I'm a practical person. I need to have things that I can do every day that help me. So that's really what my book is about. If you do these things on a regular basis, these simple practices, just bring them one by one into your life, your perspective starts to change. And it's not something that you have to do, that you have to think about. After a while, they just become really part of you. And pretty soon you start waking up feeling happier. And you're less grumpy in the morning. And sometimes you'll notice a beautiful sunrise instead of the traffic that you're in. And you start sleeping a little better, and you feel calmer. And you start noticing things that you feel grateful for. All these little things add up to being a more positive, happy person every day. And that's what the Gratitude Connection is about. That's what my coaching work is about. And also my podcast. All those things work together to try to bring those positive, happy, loving aspects out in you and help you live a more full and joyful life.
Okay, and where can they learn more about this, and also where to pick up your book as well?
My book is available on my website and also on Amazon. You can find my website at amycollette.com. And that's AMYCOLLETTE. You can find everything there. And I love to connect with listeners, so you can send me an email. I have a contact form there. Love to hear from you.
All right, so that's www.amycollette.com. I highly encourage you, our listeners, to go there now, amycollette.com. Pick up her book, The Gratitude Connection. I know we can all learn from this. This is something that I'm constantly cultivating myself as well. And at least be on her newsletter so you can be updated from what she's putting up there. And also, when you sign up for that one, you'll get a free chapter of her book, The Gratitude Connection. So go there now, www.amycollette.com. That's double L and double T.com. And I'll make sure to have this on our show notes as well. Amy, thank you so much for being so generous in sharing your time, your inspiring story, your expertise, for being a role model to many, and for bringing such a positive energy with our listeners today. Women of the world, including me, appreciate you and wish you more success in business and in your life.
Thank you, Marie. I appreciate all the things that you do, and you are also bringing that positive power to the world. Thank you.
Podcast your passion. Yes, did you know you can podcast your passion, make a difference, and make money talking about what you love talking about? That's how I get to do what I'm doing, talking to wonderful women every day here at today's Leading Women. Want to learn how I did it? Go to podcastyourpassion.com. That's www.podcastyourpassion.com.
Feeling inspired and empowered to make it happen? Then take the next step and go get your free guide to the top 10 resources that today's leading women use to stay at the top of their game, plus Marie's favorite today. Visit todaysleadingwomen.com/guide for your free download, and we'll see you on the next episode of Today's Leading Women with Marie Grace Berg.